AutoTrainer. We started around November of last year. Basically, I was working with an investor at the time. I was still at Upstart, and it was going quite well, but I was talking with an investor, and I realized I'm kind of more of a builder at heart, so we were talking about new things we could build, and the investor was really excited about what we could do, and he said, hey Marty, I'm gonna write you a check, let's figure out what we're gonna build together. So we went in and looked at a couple of different things, and eventually it just kind of hit me on the head, like, why not auto? You know, I'd spent the last 6 years building my previous company, Prodigy, was acquired for 100 million, and I realized in auto there's a big opportunity to build technology. I think that was maybe realization one. Realization two was this generative AI. We're like, whoa, this generative AI, the stuff that people are able to build now is just incredible. And I happen to know some of the best AI engineers in the world. And I said, hey, what if we kind of marry these two realizations and build something together? And so we kind of first started testing out different ideas. And it was only when we talked to a 24 rooftop group and they started talking about F&I, that was maybe realization three. And we said, hey, F&I is something, I'm having a lot of trouble getting my F&I people to sell the way that they're supposed to. And I said, hey, you know what I think could do that is if we married in AI. And they said, okay, that's great, we want to buy that. We started talking about numbers and I said, okay, I think there's a real business here. And so we started working on it, and lo and behold, a few months later, here we are. The problem is, I kind of think of it as a boot camp problem, right? It's like you go to a, you know, say you go to a, or even a Tony Robbins class. You go to, and you're off the walls, excited, you know, jumping around the room, walking through fire, and then, you know, a month later, you're back down to reality, and it's almost like nothing's the same. And I think the same thing is kind of true for F&I training. You go to F&I training, your PVR is up $600. You come back, and now you're back in the real world. And guess what? Like, you better have remembered all this stuff and be reinforcing it. And it's hard to practice, right? And so we see ourselves as not just like training, but kind of like training reinforcement. So for the F&I manager, it's every conversation you can check to make sure you're up to snuff with how you're doing. And between conversations, role play and figure out how and work on your technique. But then for the directors, it's the ability to go and quickly snapshot a bunch of conversations and figure out where your people are without having to listen to hundreds of hours of tape.